Welcome to Scoop World Order. It is Monday night. We had some huge commitments today. We have a lot of movement on upcoming commitments. It's fresh off the first scrimmage. Spring practice resumes tomorrow. A lot of activity in the Woody Hayes Center. A lot of craziness going on right now. And no one better than Bill the Bank Greene to break some of it down. We're going to get into all that. We're going to take your questions. And we're going to break down a new five-star wide receiver on the radar for Brian Hartline in the class of 2024. So we're going to have that film. We're going to bust that down with Bank and I. So as always, we're thankful for you guys. The site is growing like crazy. Our subscribers are growing. We appreciate you guys. So please continue to like the content. Clicking the like is huge for us. Comment down below. Who does this five-star wide receiver remind you of? We're going to reveal him shortly and you guys can watch it. But again, thank you guys for everything. And also comment down below who needs to step up this week in spring ball. This is moving week. This is the third week. They got the big scrimmage, and then they kind of fade into the spring games. So this is a huge week for a lot of these guys that are competing for spots, guys that are rotating at spots, trying to lock in at being that first teamer when the foot hits the ball at the beginning of September. That being said, I'm going to bring in my good friend Bill the Bank Greene. Bank, how are you today?
Good, man. Doing real good.
So we got the twins in the fold, which I think you predicted about maybe 6 months ago or whenever they offered him 3 months ago. We got Mark Nave in the fold. We've got Ian Moore in the fold. What are your thoughts on the O-line? I think that it's pretty obvious some of the guys currently on the roster are going to get processed out after spring, just based on how they're offering, and how the depth charts look right now. But what are your thoughts? Are you happy? Are you okay? Are you okay plus? Are you okay minus? Where are you at right now? Because we got 3 Ohio kids. We should always get the Ohio kids. We got 1 kid from Indiana as well, which is kind of like Ohio. But where are you sitting as of today with this 4-person offensive line class?
Well, I think it's okay. And it's not complete yet. If they end up on signing day with the Lambert kid and Jordan Seaton, and they've got a class of 6 with those 2 guys, then it goes from okay to really, really good. If they just signed these 4 and this is your class, that would be okay minus. It's not, they like them. They're taking them off early, I would have brought these kids to camp, and went and seen them when I was out on the road in April and May at their school. Brought them into camp in June. Brought in as many national guys as I could, and fought it out that way. But obviously, they must like them a lot. These guys, So you take them early, you get them in the fold, and you go from there. I like those kids. I think they're good. I think the Armstrongs are both really good, but, I don't know that they're the best O-linemen in America. And if you think they are, then you take them. Take them today. So, we'll go from there and see. But I think they need to add – I hope this isn't their 4-man class. I hope it's a 6-man class with 2 more guys being guys like Lambert and Seaton. They're chasing them right now. Get both of them to add to this group, and then it's really, really good.
Yeah, I think it has to be a 6-man class. I think there's some guys that are going to get kind of shoved out the door after spring. They can probably read the tea leaves right now just based on where they're at on the depth chart. It's just part of the game now. And with the recruiting, with the portal, you don't feel as bad because they can go pick their home and do their thing. But I agree. I think you need 6. I think you need to go get some tackles like always. And again, I don't feel bad making guys go to camp because I had to go to camp. Like I had to go to camp and scrape and claw and fight and offered,
NFL. They're NFL guys right now that had to come to camp.
Yeah,
Lee, 3 times, I think, for Darren Lee. I think 3. It might have been 4, but
yeah.
Terry
McLaurin. Yeah.
I don't think this would be Urban Meyer's MO right now. I know we're in the NIL area, but I don't think all these Ohio kids getting offered, I don't think it would be the Urban way right now. And I'd just like to know what you know him better than I do. What do you think of that?
I just think that when you have this kind of this cluster of guys, because anybody can say, yes, Paris Johnson is special. There's not a Paris Johnson in Ohio this year. But when you have this cluster of Hamilton, Roebuck, the Armstrongs,
right. They're
Naves,
all the same.
Satterwhite, like
Yeah.
you want to see those guys all shoulder to shoulder going into their senior year,
Let's
camping,
battle.
one-on-one pass rush, competing for that Ohio State offer. Because let's face it, they all want the Ohio State offer. Even the kids that committed to Michigan, they just looked at it like, look, we're probably not going to get an Ohio State offer, so we commit to Michigan. But I was in my class back in in the prehistoric times. They took one offensive lineman in the entire class, which was crazy.
Wow.
But so that was me versus kids from in the country, and some kids turned them down. And a lot of them didn't turn out to be great, but then there were 5 or 6, like I was part of that cluster in Ohio of 6, 7 guys that none were, none of us looked like Paris Johnson. So,
No.
Paris Johnson, like you offer him when he comes out of the womb. So, yeah. So when there's a big cluster of guys, I mean, Ty Hall, Matt Maisel, like the Mike McGlynn, who ended up having a great NFL career. Like there's guys, big cluster, Tom Anevsky, who played at Elder, like some guys that were, I was all-star game teammates with a lot of those guys. And I had to separate, and I had to go to camp. I had to do awesome in one-on-one pass rush, and I had to run fast and have a great 40 and all that. I had to do everything, because when everyone's just kind of like this, like someone has to separate doing something. So, that's where I'm at. Like, I don't mind these kids coming to camp, and the kids that are too good to camp, I always have questions about, because what is it? Do you want to be great, or are you scared of competition? Because if you're scared of a little dinky camp at the Woody Hayes on the little turf field, what's it going to be like when you got to play Michigan in Ann Arbor, or you got to go play Georgia in Atlanta for the national title? Like that's, so if you're scared to compete, then it's not really the place for you anyways. But again, I get it. I think that they were, they got nervous and they had to pull the trigger and get some kids in the boat early.
I just hate that. I wouldn't want to take kids because I was scared they were going to go to Michigan. I mean, they wouldn't force my hand. And I don't think they would force Urban's hand. He would just go to Texas or California or Florida and get better kids. You know what I mean? I wouldn't let someone I wouldn't be forced to offer because I'm scared they're going to go to Michigan.
Well, for me, I'm curious how we do the quarterback recruiting. Obviously, there's only 1 to 2 spots for quarterback recruiting, but like, Aaron Nolan, we talked, today, like he's kind of forcing their hand. Like, hey, I'm committing. Do you want to be? You're one of my final 7. You're the only one that hasn't offered me, but that's kind of where it is now. Like, you're not going to get to see me throw again. Go ahead.
Right, and they have to decide there. They have to decide: do we want Aaron Nolan? Because I think if they want him, I think if they really fight, push, love him up, let him know he's their guy, I think they can get Aaron Nolan. I don't think it's a slam dunk, but I think, they do visits, whether unofficial or official. You get those kids on campus, man, and they know what they're doing. Mark Pantoni and that group, my God, Ryan Day. When Air comes to Ohio, to campus, and they love him up and let him know he's the dude. He's our guy. You're the one we want more than anything. I think they have a fighting chance to get him, even though they're going to be the last school to offer him out of his group. But he is coming on his own dime to Ohio State, I believe. I haven't heard anything change there, and that shows that he wants that offer. When you've got 6 schools that have offered you and 1 school that hasn't, and you're going on your own dime to the one that hasn't, and you want that offer really bad. So, yeah, I think, over the next, until he visits, they've got to decide, do we go all in or do we just pass? You know what I mean? Because you can't tell him, well, we like you, but we need you to come to camp. Or we want to come out and see you throw at your school in May. You can't do that here. He's committing in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So it's going to be interesting to see how they play that. They've got to decide now, do we want him or can we get better? Let's pass him by. Let's go get better than him. And that's their decision there. Because, they're not getting Jaden Davis. And Julian's saying, I keep hearing that window's kind of slightly open to get him from Bama, and that's another part of this equation. Do they think let's pass on Air and let's fight the good fight for Julian Sand? Let's keep fighting that for a while. You look at the quarterbacks they've landed recently. They got Devin Brown in November. They got C.J. Stroud in November. They got the Kindhold kids last year. When did they get that kid? It was in December, I think, right before signing
Yeah.
day.
Oh yeah.
So they've never really had to panic with quarterback recruiting. Ryan Day is always able to find one, and he usually finds them around Thanksgiving. So they may pass air here and just chase Julian Sand for a while and not worry about it until we get into late fall. And then Ryan Day will go find a great one. That's the way he's been doing it.
Yeah, I think that the way that he does it, it's always kind of interesting because it's like, if Eric commits to Clemson or A&M or whatever, I think we just keep recruiting him and just ignore the commitment, because again,
sure.
you just, do you think you can do better? Because quarterback recruiting is kind of like Russian roulette. Like, I mean, because you don't want to be left at the altar.
Yeah.
And, we had 2 years ago, we thought Jaden Davis was going to be our guy. Last year, literally at this time was when Dylan Raiola became our guy. And then now we're on air. So we're on our third quarterback of 24, and Air might not even be our guy. So
He may not be. He may not be.
Yeah.
See, the thing with him is I think he really, really wants to be committed. You know what I mean? I don't think he's a flake that's playing the game, commit, maybe decommit later, get some attention. I don't think that's Air at all. I think Air is a leader, a winner, and I think he wants to be committed. He wants to know where he's going to be, and I would think there'd be zero chance of a decommitment out of Air. I think he wants to be the leader of a class. He wants this over with, is what I've been told. And he's also smart enough to know he doesn't want to be standing when the music stops and all the chairs are filled, and then he goes to FAU or something. He didn't want that. So I think he's a really smart kid, really intelligent, handling his recruiting really well, I think. But I think he's a kid, once he commits, I think that party's over. So we'll see.
I feel the same way about the Michigan kids, Roebuck and Hamilton, that committed to Michigan. Because like you get that Michigan offer, that's about kind of the same as an Ohio State offer tier wise. That's a top tier offer. And when, you're those guys and you have Michigan and then it's like Pitt, Purdue, Michigan State,
right.
like it's not like they had Michigan and then Clemson, Bama, Georgia, Ohio State. Like that's the top tier, USC maybe. And then that next tier is like, A&M. But like, when Michigan is far and away your best offer, like I think you just got to take it. Like if you're not feeling the love from Ohio State, and obviously they weren't, I mean, you got to go commit elsewhere. But I think it's fascinating. It really is.
Yeah, no doubt. It was fascinating to watch how this all played out. I mean, and I think we could make an argument that, you've got the three guys, the two Armstrongs and Nave. I can make an argument that I'd rather have Satterwhite, Hamilton, and Roebuck, that threesome. Because they're all close, though,
Yeah.
I mean, they're all really close, and we're going to find out who was right and who was wrong and who can develop guys and who can't. Because I think you had described it as a cluster, and I think it's a cluster of Ohio O linemen. I think that is a cluster, man, and they're all. For me, and you couldn't get them all to come to camp, I don't think, since two of them are committed to Michigan. You probably couldn't get them to come to camp.
Yeah.
So. I don't know, but in a perfect world, I'd like to see all those guys at the Woody at the same time, all six of them, come to camp and let's go, boys. Now, I saw Hamilton last year in camp, and I do think he's the best O lineman in Ohio, but I wouldn't have offered him off of what I saw at camp or his film. I'd make him come back to camp again, and that's not going to happen. So, okay, then let's head to Texas, let's head to California, let's head to Florida. Just like we do with quarterbacks and wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
They don't recruit off addresses in those two rooms. Neither is Tony Alford. I think Tony Alford's going to go to Texas and pull James Peoples. He lost an Ohio guy. So I think he's going to fill that spot with somebody just as good or better.
Today, with a gun to your head, would you take Peoples over the Michigan kid?
I would take Peoples over Marshall. It's close. I'd take them both. In the perfect world, I want both of them because I think Ohio State needs two. Running back depth is so tricky because you always have running back depth until you don't, and then
Yes.
you're ready to play Michigan, and you've switched your linebacker to running back, and he gets the most of the carries. That's
Yeah.
what Purdue does. That's what Rutgers does. Ohio
Yeah.
State needs to have a stable.
Oh
Woody
yeah.
Cooper, John Cooper called it a pair and a spare.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, you've got depth until you don't. So I would have liked to have had Marshall and Peoples, but give me one only. I'd rather have Peoples.
Yeah.
I
This
think
is
Peoples,
this is this is Peoples right here on the tape, and
he is
he plays
special.
big time football, man, down in Texas.
Yeah.
I love him. Yeah, and again, like the way the depth chart.
Some J.K. Dobbins to his game with more speed, maybe.
Oh yeah.
But he's a tough kid, man. I mean, I like him. I like him a lot.
I see this. I watched this play the other day with Nevada. This is one of my favorite plays ever because this is just a regular little like kind of bubble screen,
Right.
and I love this. So it's a regular little bubble screen, little tunnel screen, and the end recognizes it and covers it. He's right here. So if this quarterback throws it, it's a batted ball or a pick if the guy's an athlete. And so what's the kid do? He breaks inside.
Sure.
And it gets open. This is just being a football player. And the quarterback almost was a pick to the nose guard then, but this was an incredible football intelligence play.
Yeah, and when they talk about instincts,
Yes.
coaches will say, "Oh, he's got great football instincts," and I know 90% of the fans are like, "Oh, that's cool," and they're like, "What's that?" That was that right there.
That was that
football
exactly.
instinct right there.
Yeah, and you look at.
You could never coach him. Oh, when the DN collapses on you, you got to take it to the middle. He would never coach that.
Yeah.
He's a football player. He knows the game.
Yeah, and I don't know if the quarterback, if this isn't a read, because this is the read key right here. And the quarterback should pull this because this guy's coming down to take the running back. But
he's crashing.
he runs through it. And then this move right here. Look at this. This guy's going to make the tackle, but, the balance.
And again, that's where people say, "Oh, you got to be able to stick that foot in the ground and go." Yeah,
Yes.
That's what he did right there. He stuck that foot in the ground. He was going straight, and then he's going right on a dime.
Yeah, I love this.
I love Peoples.
I do too, man. I'm telling you, I watched this film and I really like this kid. And I love when they run plays that we run because we run this counter play a lot. This used to be Mitch Rossi right here, where you pull the guard and you kick, and then he walls up in. And he just kind of goes to the crib because this is supposed to bust up in here, but he just goes right outside the kick. Then he goes to the crib. So I loved his tape. I was really excited about this kid, and
he could be the best running back in the country. I've looked at all of them. I might take him number one. I mean, there's some good running backs too this year, and Marshall kid's really good. But Peoples would be my number one guy.
Yeah. I mean, especially in Ryan's offense. Yeah.
He's tough as heck, and he's really fast and quick and sudden.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Look at him, he just split guys there.
Yeah,
he's got some J.K. Dobbins to his game. I mean, I really like him. He would be my number one running back. Just based on his cutting ability.
Yeah, and
he's got vision in his feet almost. His feet know where to go before his brain tells him where to go.
Yeah, he's an Army brat, man. He's born in Germany.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's an Army brat, but his family's all in Ohio. They're in Youngstown and Cleveland.
Yeah, better yet.
I know. I love it.
No prima donna there if he's an Army brat.
No, not at all. He's a great kid. Do you where would you rank him with some of the studs from last year? I know we missed on Richard Young and Baxter and some of those guys. I don't know if he's on that level, but what do you think?
He's different than those guys. Those guys were so freaking big. I mean, now they're not going to cut like this. They don't cut on a dime. Those guys are a little more truckish. But
yes.
This guy's, to me, he's like a faster J.K. Dobbins. He's going to get bigger than what he is now. He looks a little thin. But this tape he's 16 years old in this tape. He needs a year with Mickey Marotti, and maybe he doesn't need a year with Mickey Marotti. Maybe when we see this kid next fall, maybe he's ready to go like J.K. was. I just, I've seen enough. You know what I mean?
I know.
How did Urban describe it? Like a 5-footer or 5-footer tape or a 10-footer or whatever. That's what this guy is. I'm sold.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah. No, I mean, we watched
I
some
hope they
guys that,
get him. I mean, I feel pretty good they're going to get him, and I really hope they do. This will ease some of the sting, of Fletcher and Marshall.
Richard Young.
Yeah, this kid's special. Look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a
Well,
dude.
and the thing is to me is that we had, like the depth chart next year could potentially be pretty open. With
Oh, it
Trey
could
and
be.
Mayan being gone,
Right.
again,
Right.
you got to expect at least one guy transfers. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe that room's just that strong. But
I don't
when
know
you've
that
got,
Trey would be back. I don't know. Evan Pryor, is he going to be healthy? You
yeah,
took no one last year. There's a gap there.
oh
No
yeah.
one. No running back from last year. So you got to take one or two every year.
And I love this
So
kid can run
that
routes
chart's
too.
gotta look, that depth chart's got to look really inviting to this kid. Let him catch the ball and go. I mean, I'm sold on this dude. I mean, just
I know.
someone wants to say, 24/7 or on three wants to say this is the top running back in the country. Be like, I'm with you. No
Oh yeah.
argument for me. No argument at all that he's the best running back in America.
Yeah, he's like again, and he's playing big time competition too. This is Texas football. This isn't
Yeah.
the Fairless Falcons.
Yeah, I
This
like
is
the way he runs through. Obviously when he gets in the open field, he runs by everyone. But I like the way he breaks tackles, the way he avoids tackles, make the first guy miss. He really knows how to cut.
yeah,
He sees it before it happens, and he goes, sticks that foot in the ground and goes.
yeah,
There's so much to like with this kid. The more
yeah,
you watch, the more you like. I don't think he's as talented as Trey Henderson, but I think he has better instincts.
yeah. Feel that's huge.
The
It's
cutting,
absolutely
to see
huge.
the hole before the hole develops, where Trey's a little hesitant. I don't think he sees it quick enough. This kid sees it and goes.
Yeah, yeah. That's
So
gonna be the big year. It's a big year for Trey this year, man. I'm telling you, because last year was kind of a forgotten year, and this is gonna
yeah,
be
he was
you
hurt.
gotta be healthy, and now it's money time now.
You got to be healthy and you got to be better. You got to get better every year.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean? He wants to be a 3-and-out guy and get drafted and make money. He's got to be a lot better. Well, last year was a wasted year for him, but I mean, better than he was as a freshman when he was really, really good, pretty darn good.
hmm
So build on that, and Trey Henderson's out of here as a draft choice.
yeah. I mean, he's
This guy
gotta.
will be the dude. This guy will be the dude, Dan, if they get him. I mean, I think they are, but we'll see. But
Yeah,
yeah, this
look
guy.
at that. He's
I mean,
gone. He's gone
right.
again.
And that's easy, when you break the line and go. That stuff's fine and dandy.
Yeah.
It's fine. But I like the inside runs
Oh yeah.
where he's got
Yeah.
to make the first guy miss. We can't block them all.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Like
I was
I
sold
love
on this dude.
I
Yeah,
love it.
totally
This is the
sold
last
on this.
this is the last play. Got a
Yeah.
great question. One of our watchers, Casey says, Bank, what is the most important position to hit on during recruiting besides the quarterback position? I think I know where you're gonna go with this.
Well, we talked last year with Phil Steele, who's
Oh
one of
yeah.
the gurus, covering college football, a guy that I respect immensely. I mean,
Oh
I don't
yeah.
start anything until I have Phil Steele's magazine in my hand in July. Then I start my previews for the season. But Phil Steele agreed with me, which made me feel good when I said, when I evaluate teams, number one, head coach, number two, quarterback, number three, defensive line, number four, O line. That's where I'm going. That's where I'm going. They got the head coach in place, Ryan Day. You're not recruiting another head coach. So recruiting wise, you got to get your cue. The game's too important. It's the single most important position in all of team sports, in any sport.
Yep.
Quarterback is the most important position, more than the goalie in soccer, more than the goalie in hockey, more than a pitcher, more than a shooter. You got to have the cue, or good luck to you. So that's how I value it. So I would have quarterback, D line, O line, and then you fill in with, the skill and everything else you want, your linebackers. But man, you gotta be strong on both lines, and you gotta have a cue. If you have those three things in place, you're good, man. You're
No.
good. You can find the fill in stuff. You
Yeah.
can find backs receivers, tight end. You find, but man, if you're bad on the O line and you're bad on the D line and you don't have a quarterback, those running backs and wide receivers, they're not going to help you. So that's where I go first: quarterback, D line, O line.
I totally agree because you look at Georgia, Stetson Bennett, very good quarterback. Offensive line, first round left tackle. They've had a lot of really good tackles come out of Georgia over the past years. Defensive line the last years from Georgia has been as good as there's been in the history of college football. Yeah, Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter, like
killers. I mean, those are game changers, game wreckers, whatever you want to call it, man. Those are dudes. I mean, yeah. So that's where I'm going. You know, when they ask what's the most important, that's where I look first. And when I go to evaluate, when I do my previews this year, like how do I think Michigan's going to be? How do I think Indiana's going to be? That's what I'm looking at. Where are you at quarterback? Where are you at D-line? Where are you at O-line?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny when you go back and look at the 21 Georgia Bulldog defensive line, and their ends are Nolan Smith, who ran a 4.38, and Travon Walker, who went number 1 overall in the draft. And then their 2 tackles are Jordan Davis, who won every award known to man, and Jalen Carter, who's going to be a top 10-ish pick. And
how did Ohio State neutralize them and move the ball on them? Well, 3 NFL linemen that are leaving, and maybe 2 that they left behind, right? Yeah. Matt Jones and Donovan Jackson. Is it a stretch to say they're going to play in the NFL? I don't think so. I think they're NFL guys.
Yeah.
Whippler, DeJuan, Paris, NFL guys. So you want to match, you know what I mean? You want to neutralize those monsters they had, you better have dudes on your side. And Ohio State did last year. They definitely did.
Yeah,
that's 5 NFL O linemen. That's how you want to line up and score on Georgia. That's how you do it.
I think we already answered this one. Do you think we got the 3 best offensive linemen in Ohio? How would you rank them if you had to rank 5 of them right now?
I think Hamilton's the best. I think Roebuck, is an inch better, a smidge better than the Twins. But, you know, the Twins, I think Devontae, I think, is the tackle. And Deontay, I think, is a guard. Deontay is the one I see as a tackle. Deontay I see as a guard. I think they're all – I mean, I hate to – you're really splitting hairs here.
Yeah.
I think Nave might be a step behind the group of 5 that we like. Hamilton, Roebuck, the Twins, and Satterwhite. I think Mark Nave might be a step behind that group. But, if I had to pick 3, I would probably take Hamilton, Roebuck, and Satterwhite.
Yeah.
But you're splitting hairs now. I mean, these are by inches, not by yards or miles. Inches.
Yeah.
They're all about the same. They're all about the same. Good. Yeah. Really good players. And I'm not sure if any of them are great Alabama wreckers. I'm not sure about that.
So this is kind of a blast from the past. How far back did the 2018 class set us back? It was consensus number 2. And the biggest star was for so long. So I gotta pull this one up.
I gotta pull it up here.
2018 recruiting class is a long time ago.
For a loop on that one.
Oh, I didn't see this. This is kind of the beauty of when we do these, and we see who we got. So that's Olave. All right, I got it. I can read it to you. So this is Nick Petit-Frere, Teron Vincent.
You can't go wrong there. Can't go wrong with him.
But no, wait. But the other 2 5-stars were Teron Vincent and Tyreek Johnson. What are your South Florida Express guys that were not kind about Tyreek? And they were right, like usual. Jalen Gill, Tyreek Smith, Jeremy Ruckert, Tarajda Mitchell, Tommy Togiai, Matt Jones.
We can go right. I don't know if Nicholas Petit-Frere, how can you go wrong with him? Teron Vincent, I mean, they kept starting him, so they must have liked him. I was not high on Teron Vincent. I thought Mike Hall and Tyreek Williams were better. Tyreek was, he just couldn't play. Jalen, I thought Jalen Gill would be a star. I really did. It didn't work out at Ohio State, and I thought when he goes to Boston College, he'll definitely tear it up there, and he hasn't. Tyreek, NFL. Jeremy Ruckert, NFL. Terada was, never really panned out. Togiai, NFL guy. Matthew Jones, NFL guy. Proctor's just, man, I don't know. I like him, but it doesn't seem like they like him. Like, there ain't no way I would have had Tanner McAllister on the field over Josh Proctor. There's just no way. I know Josh Proctor screwed up in the Notre Dame game, and they benched him, barely played again. Well, Tanner McAllister screwed up every game, and he kept going back out there. Cam Babb could have been a heck of a player. Yeah. Injuries have just killed him. Kirk, all those knee injuries. It's.
Oh, yeah.
Brian Snead, I thought, was going to be a stud running back. Everybody was so excited to get him. Anybody would have taken Brian Snead. I mean, I sure thought he was going to be good. Was never high on Tyler Friday, but he was a good fill-in guy, contributor. Max Ray,
gone.
Christian Smith, I knew that wasn't going to work. Dallas Gant. Yeah, there's some busts there. Antoine Jackson was a player, was a transfer. Kayvon Pope, man, that didn't work out.
Lost his mind.
Yeah, Javante John Baptiste has been a good. That was scholarship worthy kid for sure.
Yeah, I mean he's gonna start for Notre Dame this year.
Seven Banks, I had that one right. I knew he couldn't. I knew that wasn't gonna work. So I knew Seven. He couldn't cover you. Master Teague was a heck of a contributor for Ohio State, a heck of a kid. Same with Cam Brown. So I don't know if this class was that bad. Matthew Baldwin busted out. They replaced him. Olave, superstar NFL guy. Yeah, Alex Williams was a late offer, and I don't think they were ever. They had an opening. They took a kid close to home there. Didn't work out, and it happens. Marcus Hooker, I knew he couldn't play. No luck. So I don't know. Did that class set them back that badly? I think if we were to grade that class now, and I have to do it on paper, not scrolling. I don't know if that was that bad of a class. A lot of NFL guys in that class. Well, a lot of guys that played some good football, played in playoff games at Ohio. A lot of those guys played in playoff games. I'm going to say that 18 class wasn't that bad.
Well, here's
5 or 6 busts. It's going to happen.
Here's the big switch bank. Swap out Matthew Baldwin and insert Justin Fields, because that's how it ended up working out. Because he was in the class of 18 too, but he went to Georgia for that first year. So it's like you throw Justin Fields in this class, and you're like, damn, we got Olave.
We went over a lot of kids there that played a lot of good football for Ohio State, played in big games, Big Ten championship games, playoff games, and are now drawing paychecks in the NFL. Yeah. If you get bring in a class of 25, you're going to have 5, 6, or 7. It's not going to work out, and that's not a bad ratio.
Yeah, I mean, and with the portal, you might have.
Yeah, I mean, if you can hit on 15 of your 25, that means you got 60 dudes every 4 years. I don't know if you can hit 15 out of 25 every year. I don't know if you can do that. I don't think this is a bad class. Just throwing it off the top of my head, scrolling through, I don't think this is a bad class at all. Well, I really don't.
The funny thing is Max Ray actually started a game for us. I mean, we have guys that are here for 5 years that never started a game. Max Ray started the Michigan State game, the COVID year when we lost.
Oh, yeah, when they put new starters in.
And he knew that DeJuan – Max Ray was the right tackle and DeJuan was our left tackle that game. Wow. So but Max knew that they liked, I mean, obviously they liked DeJuan, they liked Paris. So it's like he got out of Dodge and went to Colorado and had a pretty bad injury and he medically retired. So it's like he never got off the ground really, but I mean, he still started a game pretty early in his career. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, sometimes when guys have horrific injuries like Cam Babb, like, can you really call him a bust? Like, I mean,
no way. He would have played.
Yeah, absolutely.
They still love him. They keep him around. He's a big part of the team.
He's got a job. They gave him a job right out of Ohio State to work for Ohio State. So it's like
Cam was going to play. Cam was going to play. Yeah. No, I would say that was class. I would disagree that class hurt them. A lot of contributors there. A lot of NFL guys. So yeah, I don't see it that way. But I'd have to put it on paper and have it in front of me instead of scrolling on my phone to really break it down. But I mean, we named off a lot of dudes that are players.
Oh yeah, and the funny thing is, Josh Proctor.
There have been worse classes than this.
Oh, my class was worse than that. Are you kidding me?
I don't mean going back that far, but I mean in recent history, I think if I were named the last 7 or 8, I don't think this would be a bust of a class. And if this is one of your worst classes, that's probably why you're playing in playoff games every year.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're
Toot
getting
your horn on your NFL draft picks because there's a lot of NFL guys in this group.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, Tyreek
I kind of like.
Smith, he got drafted. You know, he went mid round to the Seahawks. Like, you know,
Yeah,
there's guys there.
sure.
So we'll talk a little bit about some of the scrimmage stuff you got. You had some good intel from some people that were on the sidelines at the scrimmage. What'd you hear, Bank? I know it was open, and you know I was getting texts like in real time during the scrimmage, like, "Oh God, Jaden Ballard, our boy Jaden Ballard, who was
Yeah,
lighting up bowl practice. He's the king. He's Bam Childress anymore. He's the king of practice. But when the lights turn on, they forget that he exists. But I know he
he's been
shredded Jordan
behind.
Hancock.
He's been behind a lot of dudes. I mean, to be
Oh
fair to
yeah,
Jaden, and see, Jaden is a guy that, like, whenever Ohio State, when they get signed a bunch of guys and you get to this part of the year, I always put together, I would never publish it because I think it's kind of mean, but to myself, I have my transfer out list.
Yep.
Like you had mentioned earlier, guys that may get processed or asked to leave or whatever. I have a kind of list like that myself. And I
Yeah.
always have Jaden Ballard on it because I knew Jaden in high school. And I never thought for a minute Jaden would be mature and be patient and bide his time. I didn't think he'd be that kind of kid. I thought, man, he's going to flee, pack it up and go when things got a little tough. So I am so impressed with Jaden, his maturity level, to see that, wait your turn. And again, everybody loves Brian Hartline. He's personable. You see an interview with him, it's like, oh, this is the best. So likable, so personable. That's not his secret. The secret to Brian Hartline is people trust him. That's separate from you can like people but not trust them. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
People can be just great personality, but you really don't trust them. He's got the trust factor. The kids, the coaches, the parents, everybody trusts Brian. And that's why you see Julian Fleming stick around. When Julian Fleming could have cut and run a couple of years ago. Pitt, Virginia Tech, Florida, Florida State. You'll be our number one dude. When Pitt loses Addison, man, Julian Fleming, come here. You'll be our guy. You're a Pennsylvania guy. Penn State. Any of these schools would love to have him. But he stays at Ohio State as the number 3 or whatever, wherever he is in a pecking order because he trusts Brian Hartline. Jaden Ballard could have bolted out of Ohio State when he looked at that wall of receivers, all these NFL guys in front of him. He could have been impatient. Go to Pitt. They'll put you on the field today. You know what I mean? He doesn't do that. So, and that's because Brian is able to convey to those guys, I'm going to get you to the NFL. I'm going to get you where you need to be. You got to stay patient. You're behind Marvin Harrison, Emeka Egbuka. We had Olavi and Wilson before those guys. So that's what I think is the secret of Brian. I don't think it's the likability and the personality. I mean, that stuff helps. But at the end, that'll help you get a kid. But the fact that they trust you is what keeps the kid here. And there's guys here that are playing in roles that are less than what they could have if they would bolt to Rutgers or go to Indiana. Julian Fleming at Indiana is number 1 dude. Jaden Ballard at Rutgers, he's their guy. But these guys are staying. So I think it's the trust factor with Hartline. And I'm so happy for Jaden Ballard. I mean, I'm really happy for him, and I hope he gets his shot this year and makes a splash. He's got talent. We watched him, you and I watched him run all over our high school.
Yeah, I
They
remember
couldn't
that.
have covered him with a gun. They couldn't have stopped him. But, so, yeah, I'm happy for Jaden. I mean, I was at Jaden's first high school game when he broke out. I actually had a coach from Massillon tell me we're sticking our young guy in tonight. Keep an eye on him. So I put a tweet out, hey, let's keep an eye on Jaden Ballard tonight for Massillon. I'm hearing this young guy might get a shot. Dude, I put that tweet out, and it wasn't 5 minutes. He was running down the sidelines with like a 60, 70-yard bomb. I mean, I looked like a genius there. And then I was standing, I want to say 3 feet from Zach Smith at camp when young Jaden Ballard just lit up that camp. I mean, Jaden played way better than he's ever played. He picked the best day to have his best day. I was watching him like, I can't believe what I'm seeing here. And I'm high on Jaden Ballard. But
Yeah.
he was just a baby then, and he did things at camp. I mean, they offered him, like, he was still sweating. His T-shirt was still wet. They didn't even let him. They didn't let him dry off. They grabbed him and they offered him on the spot. And that was Zach Smith. And I was standing with Zach watching what was going on, and it was special. So I really hope he gets a shot this year. I hope he gets on the field, and I think he can do some things. When he's your third guy, and Indiana can't cover. They can't cover Harrison, number one. They definitely can't cover Harrison and Ibuka. And then when you got Jaden out there as the third guy, I think he can. I think he can do some deep things that maybe Fleming can't. I'm happy for Jaden. I know, good kid, waited his turn, and I hope that always pays off for these kids.
Yeah, and I've known his dad since 7th grade, so I've known Jamal for a long time. We were in school together, but I agree. I think Jaden is a guy that I think they threw him a massive bone this year. They let him work out at pro day as a rising junior, next to Marvin.
I bet they liked him.
Oh, they loved it because in a setting like that, when you can see his deep speed and you see how well he tracks the deep ball, like scouts are asking who that kid is, and so that puts them right on the radar. And again, when you're at Ohio State, you don't get penalized if you haven't played or had a lot of production because, he's behind Chris Olave, Olave Wilson, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Marvin Harrison, Emeka. It's not like you're sitting behind turds. Like you're sitting behind first round. Yeah. And that's going to be
in a camp setting like that, in a pro day setting, I mean, he's tall, he's 6'2", he's got long arms, former basketball superstar, not just a good high school basketball player. I mean, a superstar, a Division I basketball prospect. He's going to run a 40 in an amazing time, especially at Ohio State. He might run a 3.6 or something at Ohio State if they time it. But, and he's eye-popping to look at. Just the eye, they talk about the eye test that the NFL's looking at, size, speed. He's got it. So, yeah, I'm happy for him. I hope he gets his shot. I mean, and I think he can be a Garrett Wilson or a Chris Olave, or I think he's that kind of player. I'm so glad that he's staying and he's learning and he's developing.
Yeah.
I hope, he's with the right guy in Heartline, that's for sure.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, if you go to a lesser school for a presumptive bigger role where you're like the number one wide receiver, there's no guarantee you're going to get developed. Like, you're not going to get pushed and developed like when you're going with Marvin and Emeka and Garrett Wilson and like those guys, because those guys are the best in the world. And all of a sudden, you're like, that's going to be the funny thing for CJ Stroud if he goes number one overall in the draft. He's going to look out at Adam Thielen and DJ Chark, and he's like, these guys aren't as good as Marvin and Emeka are. Not even close. I mean, those guys are, and they're NFL guys, they're good players, but, Marvin is like all galaxy.
True. No, it's definitely true. I got to know Walt Harris, the former Ohio State assistant. I don't know if you ever knew Walt.
Oh, yeah, you recruited me at Pitt.
Oh, what a great guy, and a lot of people didn't like him. He was kind of quiet and serious. He and I just hit it off for some reason. He actually was at Akron in 1 year, and I talked to him about the year he was at Ohio State, and he said, I had gotten, we'd gotten fired at the Jets, and I came to Ohio State, and I had Bobby Hoying, who was a better quarterback than what I had for the Jets, Eddie George, who was a way better running back than anything I had for the Jets, Terry Glenn, a better receiver than what I had with the Jets, Ricky Dudley, better than the tight end I had with the Jets, Orlando Pace, better tackle than I had with the Jets. He's like, if I had these dudes, we'd have never got fired there. And this is an NFL guy talking about, that Ohio State team.
Oh, yeah.
So that was kind of similar there, So, yeah, like I said, when Jamison Williams left Ohio State to go to Bama with a guaranteed role there, I got that. But for Jaden or Julian Fleming to just go to Virginia Tech or, go to Rutgers or something, man, you may never be heard from again. So Jamison Williams, I didn't blame at all for what he did. And he proved it was a good move. And I think Heartline understood,
Yeah.
He had a definite role at Bama. He was the number one guy there. So I understood that one. But to just transfer just because you want a shot and you go to a lower school, you may never get the ball. You may never be heard from again. So, yeah, Jaden's the guy I'm really rooting for.
Totally agree. We'll take this one in a couple more and get out of here. Does Cam Martinez have any hope this year, Bank?
I mean, he's got to get a lot better. I think he's a slot receiver, but I don't know. He's a great kid, and he's a guy you root for, but he wasn't very good last year. That's you got to call it the way it is.
Oh yeah.
He was okay last year at best. Okay, so this year when they bring in Carter from Syracuse, they're bringing in they're bringing in guys at DB. So that tells me they're not happy with what they have at DB.
Oh
So, it's I think the deck is kind of stacked against him. So we'll see. We'll see. To me, he's an offensive player. I've always thought he was a slot receiver, but in the Ohio State system, they got plenty of guys there.
Oh yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see. Great kid.
Who do you believe will be the day one starters at the 3 safety spots?
Well, you got to think Carter's starting. You know what I mean? You didn't bring that guy from Syracuse to be a depth guy.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. And maybe they promised him that he would be a starter. I don't know. I know they did Tanner McAllister, and they fulfilled that promise. That's for sure. They didn't back away from that. Ransom's going to start for sure. He's a good player.
Yeah.
So Ransom and Carter, I think, are penciled in. And then how do you keep Sonny Styles off the field?
Yeah.
I mean, Sonny, people are talking about, we're all talking about Sonny right now. We've been talking about Sonny for a year now at Ohio State, right?
Oh, yeah.
Sonny right now should be getting ready for the prom. He should have just finished his high school basketball season. That should have just finished a couple weeks ago. He should be now looking at the prom, enrolling at Ohio State in June. Sonny should be a high school senior right now. So I think people forget that. He came in after his junior year. He didn't have a senior year in high school. So be patient with Sonny, but they don't have that kind. Nobody's got that kind of talent. You know what I mean? Sonny is, he's Paris Johnson. When Paris came in as a freshman, he might not have quite been ready to start as a freshman, but you knew his day was coming. His day's coming. He's taking somebody's job here. At some point, one of you guys are going to be sitting for this guy. And that's the way it is with Sonny. Sonny's time is coming. I think his time is now. And I think they're grooming him to be a starter this year. So I think Sonny, Ransom, and Carter are the safeties. And Proctor hangs in there, I guess. And Cam Martinez looks to get what he can get.
Kai Stokes.
Yeah, Kai Stokes can play, I think.
I do too.
I think Sonny can do everything Kai Stokes can do and maybe do it a little better.
Yeah.
Now, is there a way to get both of them on the field, but then that puts Carter or Ransom on the bench? I don't know. We'll see. I mean, we'll see how that goes. I like Kai Stokes. I do.
I think your Sonny Styles to Paris Johnson comparison is one of the most perfect comparisons I've heard, because I literally was thinking the same thing. Because here's the thing about Paris Johnson. He was 3 and out from the second they got here. So he literally was rotating at right tackle as a freshman when he was Luke Montgomery's age, and he graduated early. He was rotating with the ones I've never seen that before at Ohio State.
He didn't start, but you knew his day was coming. One of you other 2 tackles that are starting right now, one of you 2 is going to be sitting here real soon. So you better enjoy every minute you get, because the minutes are going to get taken away. And that's the same thing with Sonny. Somebody may be ahead of Sonny right now, but eventually that person will be sitting and watching Sonny. His time's coming. And his time's going to go fast at Ohio State too, because he's going to be in the NFL real soon.
Oh, he's
Isaiah Simmons. He is Isaiah Simmons on the college level, where you can line him up as an outside backer over the tight end on first down, and then drop him 15 to 20 yards off the ball as your deep safety on third down. And you can't find guys that can do that. So
Yeah. And he's going to be 3 and out as well, just like Paris. So, I mean,
I see no way he's not 3 and out. I think he's a heck of a player this year, and then next year he's a superstar. He makes the hooker jump.
The quantum leap.
He's the best player on the field.
Yes.
It's coming. It's coming for Sonny.
I totally agree. Thank you, Super Chat, my man David. Appreciate you. Bank, thoughts on CJ Hicks getting some playing time this year? He's kind of it's weird.
Be a backer. I mean, I don't think you can play him at safety. I think he's got to play backer, and then you got Steel Chambers and Tommy Eichenberg. Like, I think he's in the Jalen Ballard mode where he's just got to be patient. Just calm down. Don't get nervous. Don't jump out. Just your time's coming, but you're behind Steel Chambers and Tommy Eichenberg, just like Ballard is behind Emeka and Harrison. You're behind some pretty good dudes there. I think Steel Chambers and Tommy Eichenberg are really good, really solid. Now, CJ's going to be a player. His time will come.
Oh, yeah.
So, and maybe they find a way to get 3 backers on the field. You know, I don't know. Or maybe they carve out a special. I don't know. You know, he's behind 2 really, really good football players right now.
Yeah.
And they don't play a traditional 4-3. And a traditional 4-3, he's playing. You know, he's your strong side. He's your strong side guy, but they don't play it. They only play 2 backers, so he's got to be patient. But I think CJ's time is coming.
Oh yeah, especially I mean, Steele and Tommy are gone after this year, and you know you got to be.
He's your guy. Exactly. And if one of them get hurt this year, I think he could play either spot. I think you can. So, be patient. Keep busting your butt. You know, he was just a freshman last year. Just a baby still, and his time is coming. Yeah, I have no doubt with CJ. Same way I feel about Sonny. I think both of them, their time's coming. Sonny a little quicker because of the position he plays, and he's not behind 2 really good players.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree with that. Well, we'll wrap this thing up. Bank, any closing thoughts? Awesome podcast today.
You know, the closing thought will be, you know, we didn't really touch too much, I don't think, on Mylan Graham, did we?
No, we actually didn't. I just looked down at the clock and I couldn't believe it.
I can't remember. I know you and I talked about him. I don't know if we did on the pod.
No, we did not on the pod.
I think he's going to be in this class, and I think it's going to be soon. Just like I said last weekend when I wrote about the twins, and I said just let him get the edit process, let him get the video ready to go. They're in, but sometimes those things take time. Same with Mylan Graham. I think Mylan's in, and I don't think it's going to be long from now. I think it's, you know, let him get the edit, let him get the video, talk with the high school coach, get everything. Mylan Graham, I think, is going to be in this class. And I think of Mylan the same way, you know, we spent 15 minutes on Peoples. I feel the same way about Mylan Graham. I think just special, you know. And, I mean, Heartline wants him. What more do we know? Drop the mic. Heartline wants him. Shoot. Goodbye.
So you get him and JJ in the same class. Like, how good is that?
It's as good as last year with the Rogerses and Ennis and Tate. And Tate is doing tremendous, by the way, which I think everybody kind of had that the other day. But Bryson Rogers was a guy that someone that I trust told me about. So I think the 4 current freshmen may all be ahead of last year's, you know, guys that are going to be sophomore wide receivers. Them dudes better, they better get it. They better get it real soon. Yeah, they better figure it out like today, or they're going to get bypassed.
Yeah,
and if Ennis shows up in June, you know, Ennis is moving ahead of someone.
Oh yeah.
So you know that group of last year's 4 freshman wide receivers, they better pick it up.
Yeah,
today.
Today. Yeah, the pace has been heightened dramatically. The pace setters are Brandon Ennis comes in, man. He's a werewolf, man. He is coming to take.
I mean, you know how it is when you're playing and they bring in somebody at your spot, and you either think, oh, that guy sucks, he ain't going, or you think, I better get a lot better.
You better sharpen up.
I'm gonna be sick.
Oh yeah.
You know, and then, like I said, Brandon Ennis isn't even there yet, and when he shows up. He's not coming in to be a backup.
No.
Brandon's coming in to play. Carnell wants to play. Those Rodgers want to play. So
Yeah.
that group, that sophomore group from last year, man, they got to go.
Oh yeah.
So that would be the parting shot. We never got to Marlon. We'll deal with him when he gets here soon.
Yeah, that's perfect, Bank. Well, I appreciate you, my man. I'm gonna wrap this thing up. All right. Thank you guys. As always, awesome show. Appreciate you guys. Great questions. Again, Bank's awesome. Nevada, like our site's killing it right now on BuckeyeScoop.com. We got a lot of great recruiting intel. Bank's been posting. Big time stuff going on in the quarterback derby between Air Nolan and Ohio State. Is he in? Is he out? It's going to be a wild next couple 2-3 weeks as we get down to the commitments. So yeah, I just I think it's there's never been a better time to be on BuckeyeScoop.com because our site is on fire right now, just cooking with good information, a lot of inside stuff. Spring ball, they're getting back at it Tuesday, so it's going to be some practice stuff that I'm sure we'll pull, and we'll be ready to go for you. So if you guys enjoyed this, please leave us a like and click subscribe. As always, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Love kicking it with you guys. If you guys like the live shows, click that little alert bell. You'll get the alert when we go live on your phones and your tablets and your computer, so you don't ever miss a show. So we appreciate you guys as always. I will see you guys on BuckeyeScoop.com. That's where I'm heading right now. Going to get on this message board and grind a little bit. So I hope you guys are good. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. And thank you, Scoop family. I will see you guys on BuckeyeScoop.com. If you guys aren't members, give us a shot because you'll love it. It is a blast. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Go Bucks.